What's going on, everyone? 2023 is about to end, and I know that you want to become a data analyst. So in this video, I'll take you through a step-by-step process on how to become a data analyst. Now, we'll assume as a part of the video that you are starting absolutely afresh. However, if you are already on the journey, so that's even better. And also, I want to clarify that I'll be recommending a bunch of courses, etc. It's purely based off of my own experience of things. So let's get started. We'll divide this video in four main sections. We'll get started with what are some of the core skills required to become a data analyst. Then afterwards, we'll move towards building a project, like what are the type of projects that you should be working on, and then how are you going to use that in your day-to-day life. Then the last section will be catered towards how to build your resume, what are some of the key things you should be mentioning in your resume, and then how to find the appropriate job for you. For each one of the section, I'll also keep on mentioning a tentative timeline that you should expect to complete. However, I know that this is a very personal thing. Everyone has their own journey, everyone has their own tempo, so the speed could potentially vary on how much time do you spend for each one of these sections. Let's get started with the step number one, which is to acquire the key skills required to become a data analyst. Now, there are hundreds of tools and techniques out there that you can get started with. So you can learn Python, PySpark, AWS, SQL, and the list sort of goes on. Now, while you're doing that, there are some core skills that is absolutely required to become a data analyst. And my recommendation to you will be to get started with that before you start branching out. The number one skill that I highly recommend everyone to get started with is SQL or SQL. Now, even if you're not using SQL at this point in time, chances are that the organization that you're working at or will be working at is using some form or some variation of SQL to extract the information from their database. Now, this is given they have a large enough database that they are storing in some warehouse, which could be their in-house warehouse or which could be your cloud warehouse. Now, you must be thinking, what is SQL or SQL? Now, at this point in time, most of the organization, whoever is storing their information, they're storing it in some form for data warehouse. Now, in order to extract the information from there, you need a tool like SQL. SQL helps you not only extract the information, but you can also use it to clean the data, summarize it, and send it to be used for the other downstream users. One other thing that I would like to point out about SQL is how easy it is to learn. Now, in order for you to go ahead and complete different tasks, which could be extracting the information, cleaning the data, summarizing it, you have to write a set of commands, which you typically call it as queries. Now, these queries are structured in a way which is very similar to your English language. So if you already know the English language well, then this is going to be a breeze for you. Now, another reason why it is very important to learn SQL is because as a part of the interview process for data analyst position, you will have at least one round of technical interview. Now, as a part of this technical interview, you are expected to have a good knowledge of a tool which is either SQL or something similar to SQL. So combining everything together, SQL does give you a maximum bang for the buck, and that's why I have kept this as a skill number one. Now, the second skill that I would like for you to focus on is some form of a business intelligence or data visualization tool. Now, there are tons of such tools out there, so you can get started with any one of those. However, if you're still confused, I would recommend for you to get started with Tableau. Now, don't worry about it. Nobody is going to ask you in the interview settings to build a Tableau dashboard or sort of automate it. However, combination of the skill where you can extract the data using something like SQL, clean it, summarize it, put it in a Tableau dashboard, visualize it, and then automate it makes you a complete package that will basically set you aside from rest of the interviewing candidates. Now, the third skill that I would like for you to focus on is Excel. For some reasons, this is very obvious, and yet most of the people keep on ignoring it. Now, most of us have used Excel in some capacity in our lives, and because of which the learning curve is not going to be as steep. It's going to be very easy for you. There are a few things that I must recommend and I must suggest that you should focus on. First and foremost is pivots. You should know what is pivot, how to use it, and where to use it. You should also have a good understanding of different types of graphs and charts available in Excel. And third one is the different types of functions available in Excel. So Excel does provide a very good number of functions such as XLOOKUP, VLOOKUP, search, find, and so on. So you should have a good understanding of those as well. Fifth skill is Python. Now, many of you might be thinking, given how powerful Python is, why shouldn't we learn Python as a skill number one? Now, don't get me wrong, I'm in a complete agreement with you. Learning Python actually does open a lot of doors for you. Everything that you can do is a part of Excel, SQL, Power BI, Tableau. You could potentially do it in some form as a part of Python. However, the biggest problem with Python is learning curve. It takes a little bit of time to get fully acclimated with Python. You could expect at least 4 to 6 months of learning before you start performing in Python. However, when it comes to SQL, Excel, you can go ahead and start performing within the first few months itself. So that's why while you're on this journey, I would like for you to get started with something basic and then keep on building on top of it. Another problem with Python is acceptability. There are still a lot of financial institutions, insurance institutions out there which are not using Python. So that could also have some potential impact as a part of your interview process. Now, the fifth skill, and this one is optional, is learning how to work on the cloud platform. You could pick from AWS, Azure, Google Cloud Platform, etc. Now, there is no denying that these platforms has completely revolutionized data analysis and data science industry. Now, as we move forward, more and more organization will be moving towards working on cloud platforms. So if you already know how to work on these platforms, this will definitely set you aside and will help you in your journey. Now, at this point in time, you must be thinking, where will I learn all of these skills? Now, personally, I am also building different playlists for different topics on my YouTube channel. So you should definitely check it out and see if they're useful for you. Apart from that, I would highly recommend for you to go ahead and check the materials available on Udemy and Coursera. Some of the materials over there are very structured and they're also very cheap. It takes you through a step-by-step process, which will be very helpful for you to get started and complete the overall journey. While you're learning these skills, another thing I would like for you to focus on is building a project portfolio. A project portfolio is nothing but a combination of multiple smaller projects that you will be working on while you're learning these skills. So one of the simple project could be you build a database, you extract the information from there using a tool like SQL, then you clean the data, you summarize it, and then you visualize it in a tools like Tableau. As you move forward, you can keep on adding more complicated projects where you could try out things like extracting the unstructured data from a cloud platform, convert it into a structured data, and then clean it and then proceed with the next steps. So as you are going through the entire journey of the learning different skills, you can keep on adding different projects to it. On an average, I would recommend that you should have 10 to 20 different projects, which is focusing on a different dimensions of the key skills that you're learning in your portfolio. Now, is it really important and necessary to have a project portfolio? I would say no, but think of it like this. Let's say if you're applying for a position as a data analyst. Now, one of the key questions that could be asked, what is your level of proficiency in SQL? Now, you could potentially tell them that I have been working in SQL for last 1 year or 2 years. And you could also tell the interviewer that I have already gone through XYZ course. And that's definitely one way of responding to this question. But apart from that, you could also share with them that this is the typical project that I work on, and you can share with them the project portfolio that you have worked on. And that's definitely going to be 10 times more impactful, and that will help you stand apart as compared to some of the other candidates. Next step in becoming a data analyst is building a crisp resume. Having a good resume is very critical with the required information so that you get shortlisted. When I was getting started in this industry, I used to make a mistake. I used to always try to highlight all of my lifetime achievements as a part of the resume. Now, that's not a very good strategy. When you are building a resume, you should first and foremost study the job description carefully, and you should try to identify all of the skills that the organization is looking for. And then you should highlight those skills as a part of your resume. This will be the right time to highlight all of the skills that you have acquired, different courses that you have taken. And this will also be a very good time to highlight that you have been working on a project portfolio, and these are the different projects that you have worked on. Having a good story as a part of a resume is very critical for you to make sure that you're clearly standing out and then getting shortlisted as a part of the process. Now, fourth and last step in the process of becoming a data analyst is to apply for a job. So you have acquired the required skills, your resume is ready, and you have with you your project portfolio that you have been working on for so long. Next step is to find the right position, which is a perfect fit for you. Personally, for me, LinkedIn has been a great source, so definitely check that out, but don't just restrict to LinkedIn. Now, while you're going through the application process, I would highly recommend that the step one, just shortlist all the different positions that you're interested in. Once you're through that process, then you divide these positions in two different pools. So first pool is a set of positions and the organizations that you would like to get into, but even if you're not going to get into, it's totally fine, you're fine with that. And the second pool is the one where it's a combination of all of your dream jobs or the places where you really, really want to be. So I would highly suggest that you apply for the position in the first pool first, go through the interview process. This will give you a good experience of being in interview settings, and this will also be a good practice run for you. Once you're through that, then start applying and start getting into the interview process for the second pool. I am fairly confident with the step-by-step process that you have followed. You have all the skills, you have the projects, and you have everything ready. You will be able to crack the interview in no time. Now, if you're still with me on this video and you like the content so far, I would request for you to like and subscribe my channel. This is definitely going to help me and the channel a lot. I wish you best of luck in your job search journey.